everyone. I apologize for the slow start. So my project is called the Body Curios, and it's about 3D haptic objects. And earlier today, when our colleague Michael Haverkamp was talking about his Alpen Symphony and the way that the gestalt of objects and images in his artwork creates a narrative that invites the viewer to participate. In his case, participate in his walk. In my case, participate in an individual's experience of pain. The Body Curios is an art installation that is intended to represent a narrative of pain and healing. And I'm just going to skip by my abstract because nobody's going to read it anyhow. I can just get my slides to move. So my slides are moving. So what we're going to do right now is, since I can't access those, I'm going to start passing these around the room. These are objects that represent the physical pain of the individuals who created them. It's 3 different individuals with 3 different circumstances. This was created by the main subject of my presentation. Her name is Cassidy Isaacson, and she is a ballerina. And in her experience with dance, she has injured her foot several times. She has an extreme sense of pain that she perceives as a dull silver with a slight iridescent shine, and heavy and hard. And so hoping we can actually get back to our PowerPoint here. It doesn't seem to want to play. Okay, no problem. So it's up, the door alarm is going off? Oh, okay. We're just going to roll with it. I think what's going to end up happening, because my slides aren't playing, I'm going to show you these objects. I'm going to pass them around the room for you to enjoy, and then we're going to see the short film that I created that goes with my PowerPoint presentation. I'll put the rest of it up on my website so you can peruse at your leisure. So I brought Cassidy, the ballerina, into my office where she used polymer clay to create this 3-dimensional structure that represents her perception of her pain in her large metatarsal joint in her left foot. One of the tools we used to get to the point where she could create this object was a survey that I created called the Multisensory Pain Survey. It's slightly different than the standard healthcare pain surveys, which we often call a WILDA survey, W-I-L-D-A, which stands for words, intensity, location, duration, and aggravators or alleviation. So let's say for someone like Cassidy, who has an injured metatarsal joint, we would ask her to use her words to describe it. We would ask her what is the intensity of her pain. We would ask her about the location of that pain. We would ask about the duration, how many hours, days, months, years has she had that pain. And we would ask her what aggravates her pain, in her case, dancing as a ballet dancer, or what alleviates her pain. That's the WILDA metric. I added on to that by asking things like, what color is your pain? Is that color opaque? Is it transparent? Does the pain get darker during the day? Does it get lighter when you have less pain? And so this is her representation of her pain based on her how she filled out the multisensory pain survey. Along with, yes?
I think you can change the slides now.
Yeah, I think I am going to move into these slides. I'm just going to cut to the chase with this a little bit because we're short on time. I'm going to describe the rest of these paint objects, and I'm going to start passing them around. In the short film that I created about the Body Curios, a composer named Conchetta Abadi contributed to this and Umit knows Conchetta. She came with us to present at the Convergence Conference in Belgium. Conchetta had her dog attacked by another dog, and in separating the 2 dogs, one of them lacerated her finger, which is a terrible injury for a classical violinist and composer. She describes her pain as being like a field of green stars. That the pins and needles sensation in her finger feels like green stars. And she also filled out the multi-sensory pain survey, and then from there used a polymer clay to create a 3D representation of the pain in her finger. This is my shoulder. Yeah, ooh. I've been a manual therapist for 30 years, and rotator cuff injuries are just a risk of my profession. I have managed to shred my labrum in this shoulder, and when I think about the pain in my shoulder is bright pink. It has a fraying star-like pattern, and it sits right about here on my body pretty much all the time. It also is made from polymer clay. The intention is to make these as a 3D printed object. The reason why they're not 3D printed right now is twofold. One of them is, I didn't want to send this beautiful object away to a printer before bringing it to the conference. I was afraid if it got damaged or lost, I wouldn't be able to show you what it's like for Cassidy to experience a synesthetic sense of pain. Secondly, in my research, I found that in regard to empathy and haptics, that researcher Chen Wang found that textures that have a slight roughness or coarseness to them are more likely to elucidate an empathic response in the person who's holding the object. So I want to find a way to 3D print these so that we get a slightly coarse texture in either the filament or the resin that extrudes from the printer. Haven't quite figured that one out yet. The other piece that I wanted to share about 3D printing is the reason why it's important to me to eventually 3D print these objects is in order to help people understand a synesthetic sense of pain. I would love for people to be able to access that through open source software. And if you were at your home in Belgium, Umit, and you wanted to know what Conchetta's pain felt like, you could 3D print her stars and get a sense of that. So Svetlana, if you would help me and come take this so we can pass it around. I'm just going to cut right to the chase and show you the film that I created that is about the Body Curios.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we can get this to play. And then we can have questions afterwards. I'm sorry this has been so brief, but this is how we're going to do it. I'm not getting volume. Okay, help me. Okay, here we go. I hope we... And I'm still not getting sound. Is there... Again? I'm going to bring it back to the beginning, I'm sorry, because we're...
I'm an artist, an author, and a neurodiversity advocate. I have many forms of synesthesia, a blending of the senses. I had intense experiences with mirror touch synesthesia that includes a sensation that feels like shocks of electricity shooting down my legs. I've been a manual therapist for 30 years, and I feel other people's bodies as if they are my own. I met Conchetta Abante, a composer and violinist, when she was working on her album Mirror Touch. We had some wonderful dialogues about empathy and mere sensory phenomena and the arts. Then, her finger got mangled when she saved her dog from a vicious attack. I had my own injury, a rotator cuff tear from my decades working as a manual therapist, and one of my patients, a ballerina named Cassidy Isaacson, had an overuse injury in the first metatarsal joint of her left foot. All three of us had injuries, but I was curious. What color was our pain? What shape was our pain? Could we create three-dimensional models of that pain? I developed a multi-sensory pain survey and set to work. I used polymer clay to create a pain form, a representation of the color, shape, and texture of my injured shoulder. Then I invited Cassidy and Conchetta to do the same. Body Curio from Cassidy, which houses her pain form. Cassidy's curio also has mementos from her dance career. Has an interesting spiral shape that is mimetic of the pirouettes she turns in both rehearsal and performance. Conchetta's pain forms took an entirely different shape and color. Conchetta described the shape of these green stars as representative of the pins and needles sensation in her injured finger. My pain form looks like a sea creature to me. As I continue the Body Curios project, I'm curious to see the pain forms that other people create.
All right, so I consider this first iteration of the Body Curios with Cassidy's pain form to be sort of a prototype. The more extensive version of this talk, I present why the curio is the ideal environment for this type of installation, but in part it's because by adding items to the curio, whether it's ephemera or mementos or haptic objects such as this, we get an art narrative and not simply an art object. And additionally, I want the idea of having something that is contained but that people can reach into and take this haptic object out and engage with it is my hope for a larger installation with more curios and more haptic objects. There's a couple of challenges with this. One of them is the three people who created the pain forms that we're looking at today, all of us have an arts practice, and so I don't know if we could work with someone who did not have an arts practice with a multisensory pain survey and have them comfortably create something that feels representative to them of their experience with pain. The other issue I see with Cassidy's Body Curio is that it is at floor level. That's intentional. It's meant to mirror the location of her pain, so when you stand above the Body Curio, you're looking down into it at the level of your own feet. If you're standing next to it. And that may make the curio inaccessible for some individuals, especially if they have mobility challenges. I'm not quite sure how to get past that. And I'm also working with researching 3D printing. I'm not sure that my shoulder pain form is going to scan accurately and get a good representation in 3D printing, but we will see because I'm going to experiment with that. Thank you for letting me do this absolute train wreck version of my talk. I'm so glad to be here, and as always, MJ, thank you for including me. I'm always incredibly grateful to be part of this conference, and I'm also thankful to Conchetta for participating, and to Sean Day, who is my mentor and a really wonderful human. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Cici, for your wonderful talk. I like your sculptures, and I think they are wonderful when they would be very big in a park, for example, and if you wouldn't tell anybody that it's this pain. Is there one question, because we are out of time? Sergio.
Hello. Hello, Cici.
Hi, Sergio.
Thank you very much for your beautiful presentation and your very well referenced and detailed referenced work. Very good, very nice to see. I was seeing your work, and I was thinking of Brazilian artist Ligia Clark, who developed relationship objects. Designed as a therapy in the end of her career. She was one of the most important Brazilian artists in the early 60s and 70s, but her work with sensory objects evolved to a point when she decided not to consider herself an artist anymore, but a therapist. And I think you would love to know her work, because it has a lot to do with what you were doing. And she was really, really brilliant, one of the most influential artists in the tradition.
Yeah, I'm doing this from the other way around. I'm coming out of healthcare practice into art and research, and so I very much would love to learn more about her. If you could, we'll talk and we make sure that I have the name of that artist so I can follow up. Thank you for your patience, everyone. It's been wonderful to be here.